This roster has completely transformed from a frustrating rebuilding project into an absolute powerhouse right before our very eyes. With explosive young superstars emerging and a rookie class ready to cause pure chaos, this is no longer the same predictable team we are used to seeing. Today, we are mercilessly grading every single player on this 90-man roster to expose exactly who is dragging us down, and who is destined to take us to the promised land. Before we tear into these tier rankings, please smash that like button, share this video with a fellow diehard, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a single update. Let's get one thing straight right out of the gate. Building a championship roster isn't just about throwing a bunch of good players onto the field, it's about having the right kind of game-changing talent. When you look at a Super Bowl caliber roster, ask yourself, do you need an endless army of decent guys, or just a handful of absolute, undeniable game wreckers? That's exactly why we are doing this intense scouting and charting exercise today, dividing the entire squad into 5 brutal categories. The blue chips are your all-pro, top-of-the-league monsters. The red chips are the really good starters, the guys you actually win games because of, not just with. Orange chips are your quality, plug-and-play starters who are solid, but won't necessarily elevate the guys around them. Yellow chips are your low-end starters or your ideal backups. And finally, the purple chips represent the unknown territory, the guys whose clocks are definitely ticking on their careers as our patience runs completely out. We have to start at the top, and honestly, it's a bit of a harsh reality check. Last year, we only had 2 blue chip players. This year, we still just have 2. It's undeniably frustrating because you need more top-tier talent to win a ring, but the guys we do have are absolute forces of nature. First up is Joe Thuney. Look, he's in his 30s now. I don't think he's magically getting better at this stage, but the guy certainly isn't regressing either. He is a rock-solid blue chipper. His arrow is neutral, but his floor is incredibly high. Joining him at the peak of the mountain is Darnell Wright. This man has officially elevated himself into undeniable blue chip status. He secured second-team All-Pro honors this year, and his development arrow is still pointing straight up. He is wildly impressive, and he is exactly the kind of bully we desperately need. Moving down to the red chip tier, we are looking at the foundational pieces of this franchise. Caleb Williams is firmly in the red category now, and his arrow is rocketing up. The potential for him to hit blue chip superstar status is blindingly obvious. He is the face of the franchise. Right alongside him with an upward arrow is Colston Loveland. Just 1 year in, and he already looks like he can make that massive leap. Luther Burden III is in that exact same boat. The absolute sky is the limit for him. Then we have Odunze. I have to give him a neutral arrow right now, and it hurts to say it. He exploded out of the gates last year, but then he hit a wall, and that foot injury completely derailed his momentum. He's still a massive playmaker and a red chip talent, but we desperately need to see consistency. Jonah Jackson had a phenomenal bounce-back year. He's not a blue chipper, and he likely never will be, but he is a rock-solid red chip offensive lineman. Over on defense, Kobe Bryant is a red player with his arrow pointing up. He's only been playing safety for a couple of seasons, so there is massive room for him to grow into an elite weapon. Montez Sweat is precisely who we thought he was. He's a solid red chip edge rusher. His arrow is sideways because he isn't taking another massive evolutionary step at this point, but his bounce back last year was exactly what we needed. Devin Bush is in a similar spot. A really good linebacker, probably not an all-pro, but an incredibly reliable red chip player with a neutral arrow. Now, this next part stings. Jaylon Johnson is a red chip player, but his arrow is tragically pointing down. There is a universe where he gets back to being a blue chip lockdown corner. He was an all-pro in 2023, took a slight step back in 2024, and then injuries completely wrecked him last year. Kyler Gordon is in the exact same frustrating situation. Red chip, arrow down. Both of these defensive backs absolutely have to prove they can stay healthy. Question of the day for you guys. Which of our red tier players is 100% guaranteed to make the leap to blue chip superstar status this season? Drop your boldest prediction down in the comments below right now. Seriously, I want to know who you think has what it takes to carry this team. Let's dive into the orange tier, the land of the quality starters. Cole Kmet is hovering right at the absolute top of this list. He's teetering on the edge of red, but I have to keep him at orange for now. DeAndre Swift had a solid year, but let's be totally real. This offensive scheme is a running back's absolute dream. He's a quality starter, but he is highly replaceable. I'm actually giving an arrow up to our younger backfield rotational pieces because the potential to grow is there, whereas Swift is pretty much what he is. Garrett Bradbury gets an arrow down. He's essentially a high-end backup or a low-end starter at this point, residing at the bottom of this tier. T.J. Edwards is another one with a downward arrow. He looked amazing at times last year, but injuries, especially that brutal fibula issue, took a massive toll. He's a quality starter when healthy, but he's no longer the guy who elevates the rest of the defense. The guy who has me jumping out of my seat in this orange category is Austin Booker. Out of the entire defensive line group, he is the one player who genuinely feels like he's ready to explode into the red tier. Jervin Dexter is neutral. We pretty much know his ceiling. Grady Jarrett drops to orange. He was red last year, but age and injuries are catching up. Cairo Santos is a neutral orange. He's clutch, but his leg strength limits his upside. Torrey Taylor is an orange with an upward arrow after a brilliant second half of the season. Dropping into the yellow chips, we find our low-end starters and decent backups. Tyson Bagent is the perfect example. He's serviceable if forced to start, and there is still untapped potential there, so he gets an arrow up. Case Keenum is the exact opposite. Arrow down. He's 38 years old, and if he's taking meaningful snaps, we are in serious trouble. Khalif Raymond and Scotty Miller both get downward arrows. They can do a job in a pinch, but they should never be the focal point of an NFL offense. Braxton Jones gets a crucial arrow up here. Injuries ruined his season last year, but if he gets right, he can absolutely jump back into the orange category. Guys like Theo Benedict, Jordan McFadden, and Luke Newman are your classic depth pieces on the offensive line. Neville Gallimore and Deo Odunze are rotational bodies. Odunze's massive $16 million contract makes his yellow chip status a deeply frustrating reality for this front office. On defense, Jack Sanborn has a downward arrow after a rough outing in Dallas, but Marco Jackson gets an upward arrow due to his upside. Tariq Stevenson is a yellow with an upward arrow. I might be overly optimistic, but I still believe he can develop into a high-end starter. Special teams aces like Daniel Hardy and Josh Blackwell easily earn upward arrows for their hidden yardage impacts. Finally, we hit the purple chips. This is the ultimate danger zone. Jaylon Johnson is the very definition of a ticking clock. He is going to be in a vicious dogfight just to keep his roster spot. Britton Brown is basically a decent running back 3 who offers 0 on special teams, making him incredibly expendable. We have guys coming off devastating injuries like Ozzie Trapilo and Jedrick Wills Jr. Trapilo looked like a solid orange starter before rupturing his patellar tendon, making his entire future a mystery. Kieran Amagaji is another player where the clock is absolutely ticking. Tragically, younger guys like Shamar Turner and Ruben Hippolyte too are slipping into this unknown territory fast. Looking quickly at the fresh blood, Dylan Thieneman feels like a safe projection as a future red chip safety. He has the athletic profile to be an absolute menace. The same goes for center Logan Jones and tight end Sam Roush. Xavion Thomas is an offensive wildcard. If we scheme him right, his speed could make him a terrifying weapon. And defensive backs Malik Muhammad and Keyshawn Elliott bring massive variance. Even in the undrafted pool, guys like Miller Moss, Hayden Large, and Skylar Thomas possess intriguing traits that could realistically land them on the final roster. When you step back and look at the whole picture, this roster is absolutely getting better year over year. We might only have 2 blue-chip players right now, but the sheer volume of guys with red chip potential and upward arrows is staggering. If Caleb, Colston, or Rome can just take that one final step into elite territory, this franchise is headed straight to the Super Bowl. What did I get completely wrong? Jump into the comments and tell me where you agree and where I am completely out of my mind. Keep the debate going, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you guys next time.